The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched wide and tall, with ceiling panels that showed the stars beyond. 500 seats curved in a half-circle, filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated in special tanks, while others needed masks to breathe the standard air. John Mercer walked slowly to the speaking platform. He was the only human in the room. His simple black suit looked plain next to the colorful robes and armor of the alien representatives. John was 62 years old, with gray hair and deep lines on his face. 20 years ago, he had been a farmer in Iowa. Now he spoke for all of Earth. The room grew quiet as John took his place. Many council members shifted in their seats. They expected another boring speech asking for trade routes or mining rights. The humans always wanted something, and the council always found reasons to say no. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, John began, his voice stronger than his tired face suggested. For 15 years, humanity has come before you as friends. We have shared our culture, our resources, and asked only for fair treatment in return. John paused and looked at the main viewing screen showing his face to the entire chamber. He knew billions of beings across thousands of worlds were watching. Today I come with a different message. He took a deep breath. Colony Delta 7 went silent 3 weeks ago. 10,000 human settlers vanished overnight. This is the 7th human settlement to disappear in the past year. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The tall, blue-skinned Zelaxian representative, Kexnar, stood up. Ambassador Mercer, we have addressed these claims repeatedly. Your colony likely suffered equipment failure or relocated without proper notification. Your primitive tracking systems. We found the colony empty. John cut in. Buildings intact. Meals still on tables. Our sensors detected energy patterns matching Zelaxian harvester technology. The chamber erupted in noise. The council moderator, a floating orb with mechanical arms, flashed red lights for order. These are serious accusations without evidence, the moderator said. John reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver disc. This contains our evidence. For a year, we have brought similar proof to this council. Each time, you have dismissed it. Each time, you have blocked our investigations. The large insectoid representative from the Vesperian cluster clicked its mandibles. The human speaks truth. My government also detected unusual Zelaxian activity near the human colonies. Our inquiries were similarly rejected. Kexanar's skin darkened with anger. How dare you? The Zelaxian Directorate has maintained peace for 800 cycles. We do not answer to primitives who barely learned to split the atom a century ago. John looked directly at Kexnar. Earth has reached a decision after careful consideration of recent events. It's time for war. The silence lasted 3 seconds before the chamber exploded in shouts. Some representatives rushed toward exits. Others demanded John's arrest. Security drones flew toward the human ambassador. John held up a small device with a blinking light. This broadcast has already reached Earth. Our fleets are mobilizing. You have 24 galactic hours to respond. The council moderator's voice boomed over the chaos. Ambassador Mercer, this is unprecedented. The penalty for threatening the council is immediate. This is not a threat, John said calmly. This is a response. Humanity wanted peace. You gave us dismissal. We wanted justice. You gave us silence. Now we will find our people, with or without your help. 4 security officers surrounded John. He didn't resist as they took his arms. Ambassador Krell of the Vesperians approached John as he was being led away. Unlike the others, Krell showed no surprise. You knew this day would come, John said quietly. Krell's compound eyes reflected the light. Yes, human, your species plays the long game well. Few understood that your patience was not weakness. As John left the chamber, an emergency alert sounded. The first reports were already coming in. Unknown human warships appearing near key council worlds. Ships unlike any the humans had ever revealed to the council. The war had already begun. 3 months before John Mercer's declaration at the Galactic Council, Captain Olivia Harrington stood in the middle of an empty street on Colony Delta 7. Wind blew dust across the pavement. Her breath fogged inside her helmet as she looked at the homes and shops around her. Everything was intact. There were no signs of fighting, no damage to buildings. There were simply no people. "Captain, you need to see this," called Frank Morris, her security officer. His voice crackled through the comm system in her suit. Olivia walked to a small house near the colony center. Inside, the table was set for dinner. 4 plates, 4 cups. Food still sat on the plates, now dried and spoiled. It looked like the family had just stepped away for a moment. "It's the same in every house," Frank said. "They vanished in the middle of daily life." Olivia's scanner beeped. "I'm picking up an energy pattern. Not human tech." She adjusted the settings. "It matches Zolaxian harvester ships. They were here." Back on her ship, the scout vessel Pathfinder, Olivia sent an urgent message to Earth. This was the 7th colony to go quiet in a year, all with the same pattern: people gone, belongings left behind, and traces of Zolaxian energy. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Peter Donovan received Olivia's report in his office at Pacific Command Headquarters. The big window behind his desk showed the blue waters of Pearl Harbor. He read the report twice, then pressed a button on his desk. "Get me the President." 20 minutes later, he sat in the White House Situation Room with President Laura Mitchell and her top advisors. The room was plain with a long table and screens on the walls. Maps showed the locations of all 7 missing colonies. 10,000 more people gone, President Mitchell said, her voice tight with anger. "And the Council will deny everything again." Defense Secretary George Harris cleared his throat. "Madam President, we've been patient for 15 years. We joined their council, followed their rules, even when those rules kept us from expanding too quickly. And still they treat us like children." "What do the Zolaxians want with our people?" asked Vice President Clark. Dr. Ellen Patel, the chief science advisor, spoke up. "Based on the data from Captain Harrington, we believe they're harvesting humans for biological material. Human adaptability is unique in the galaxy. Our immune systems, our ability to live in different environments. These are valuable traits." President Mitchell stood and walked to the window. Outside, the Washington Monument rose into the blue sky. "We've tried diplomacy. We've sent evidence to the Council 7 times. Each time they dismiss us." She turned back to the group. "Prepare the fleet." Admiral Donovan nodded. "The ships we've shown the Council are just a fraction of what we have. Madam President, the Artemis fleet is ready." "What about Dr. Winter's project?" Mitchell asked. "The Severing is ready for deployment," Dr. Patel said. "Our agents have placed the devices throughout Council space over the past decade. Once activated, their entire communication network will collapse." Deep beneath the Mojave Desert, Dr. Alan Winters made final adjustments to a small device. The laboratory hummed with power. Screens showed simulations of quantum communication networks breaking apart. His assistant, Samantha Reed, monitored the readings. "Will this really work against their shields?" she asked. Alan's face was serious as he closed the panel on the device. "It won't just work. It'll tear right through them. The Zolaxians believe their quantum-linked communication is unbreakable because they've never encountered a species that understands quantum entanglement the way we do." Samantha looked at the rows of similar devices lined up along the wall. "And our people in Council space have already planted the others." Alan nodded. "For 10 years, every diplomatic gift, every trade item we've sent has contained components. Separately, they're harmless. Together, they form a network that will bring down their entire system." On the other side of the world, Ambassador John Mercer received his new orders. He read them once, then destroyed the paper. Tomorrow, he would go before the Galactic Council. Tomorrow, everything would change. Chaos filled the Galactic Council chamber after John Mercer's declaration of war. Security officers led him to a small holding room away from the main hall. Through the walls, he could hear the shouting continue. In the chamber, Elder Counselor Tsarek of the Andromeda stood tall on 6 thin legs, his gray skin wrinkled as he spoke. The humans have finally shown their true nature. We all knew they were violent. Their history is filled with war. We should strike their homeworld immediately. Many council members shouted agreement. The Zalaxian representative, Kexnar, nodded with satisfaction. His blue skin had returned to its normal shade now that the initial shock had passed. The Zalaxian Directorate offers our defense fleet to lead the attack, Kexnar said. We have studied human weapons. They are no match for our technology. Not everyone agreed. Ambassador Lyra Nash pushed her way to the speaking platform, her 4 arms raised for attention. Lyra represented the Maldorians, one of the few species that had formed real friendships with humans. This is madness, she called out. Has anyone actually looked into these missing colonies? Humans have helped defend 3 of our worlds against the void incursions. They sent aid when the plague hit the outer sectors. And now, when they ask for help finding their missing people, we ignore them. The council moderator's floating orb moved toward Lyra. The council has examined the human evidence and found it lacking. No, Lyra said firmly. The Zalaxian representatives examined it and told the rest of you to dismiss it. That is not the same thing. Kexinar's skin darkened again. You question the honor of the Directorate. I question why you fear a proper investigation, Lyra replied. The debate lasted for hours. In the end, the vote was clear. By a large majority, the Council authorized the deployment of the combined defensive fleet to Earth's solar system. Only 12 species voted against the measure. As the Council members filed out of the chamber, Commander William Foster watched from a service corridor. He wore the uniform of a maintenance worker, but under his disguise, he was the head of Earth's Special Operations Division. For 6 years, he had placed agents on key worlds throughout Council space. Foster tapped a small device in his ear. Shadow Leader to base. The Council has voted for war. Operation Shadowfall is now active. All across the galaxy, human agents received the signal. Some worked in communication centers, others in shipyards or defense installations. A few held positions in government offices. All had waited years for this moment. On the mining world of Kerix IV, engineer Linda Powell entered a code into the main computer of the planet's defense grid. The system would now see Earth ships as friendly. In the Zalaxian Fleet headquarters, analyst Daniel Cooper downloaded the battle plans for the attack on Earth and transmitted them through a hidden channel. On 17 different worlds, small devices activated, ready to disrupt the quantum communication network. John Mercer sat calmly in his holding cell. A security drone watched him from the corner of the room. He knew what was happening across the galaxy. Everything was going according to plan. The cell door opened, and Ambassador Krell of the Vesperians entered. His insect-like body moved gracefully as the door closed behind him. You have started something that cannot be stopped, Krell said. John looked up at him. They started it when they took our people. The Council has voted to attack Earth, Krell said. The combined fleet is preparing now. John nodded. We expected that. What did your government vote? We voted against attack, Krell said. As did 11 others. Not enough to stop it. It will be enough soon, John said quietly. When the truth comes out, we will need allies. Krell's mandibles clicked softly. The Zalaxians are hiding something. My intelligence agents have tracked unusual shipments to secret facilities. We believe your people may be there. We know, John said. That's why we needed the Council to vote for war. Now we have the right to act. You planned this, Krell realized. You wanted them to attack you. John smiled slightly. Sometimes, Ambassador, the only way to expose a lie is to force your enemy to defend it. The Zalaxians have taken our people. Now they will have to explain why. The Galactic Combined Fleet gathered at the edge of Council space. Over 300 warships prepared to jump to Earth's solar system. Their hulls gleamed in the light of distant stars. Weapons systems hummed with power. These ships represented the most advanced technology from 20 different species. Admiral Vexillor stood on the bridge of the Zolaxian command ship, Inevitable Dominance. His blue skin had dark stripes of rank across his face. He had fought in 12 major conflicts and never lost a battle. "Final preparations are complete, Admiral," said his second-in-command. "All ships report ready." Vexillor nodded. "The humans have had 3 days to prepare their defenses. Their primitive ships will be no match for us, but do not underestimate them. They are unpredictable." The fleet entered hyperspace in perfect formation. The journey to Earth would take 6 hours. Vexillor used this time to study the battle plans again. Intelligence reports showed Earth had fewer than 50 warships, most of them small and lightly armed. The humans had always claimed they were peaceful explorers, not conquerors. When the combined fleet arrived at the edge of Sol system, they expected to find Earth's ships waiting for them. Instead, their sensors showed nothing but normal civilian traffic around Earth and its colonies. No defense fleet, no military buildup. "Where are their warships?" Vexillor demanded. "Scan again." His officers searched but found nothing threatening. Civilian ships moved between Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies. Mining operations continued in the asteroid belt. Everything appeared normal. "Could their ambassador's threat have been a bluff?" asked the second-in-command. Vexillor frowned. "No, humans are many things, but rarely do they bluff so boldly." He studied the tactical display. "Proceed with caution. Move the fleet toward Earth." The combined fleet advanced through the solar system. As they passed the orbit of Neptune, small devices attached to the hulls of 100 ships activated. No one had noticed them. They had been placed there months ago by human agents disguised as maintenance workers at various spaceports. The devices detonated simultaneously. They were not powerful explosives. They didn't need to be. They simply disrupted the power systems of the ships they were attached to. Shields failed. Weapons went offline. Engines shut down. 1/3 of the combined fleet drifted helplessly in space. "We are under attack," shouted Vexillor's tactical officer. Multiple ships reporting system failures. "From where?" Vexillor demanded. "Where is the attack coming from?" The answer came when new objects appeared on their sensors. From behind Neptune's large blue form, Earth's true fleet emerged. These were not the small, lightly armed ships the Council knew about. These were massive warships with advanced weapon systems. Earth had hidden its real military strength for years. Leading the Earth fleet was the EDF Retribution, a ship twice the size of Vexillor's command vessel. Admiral Catherine Sutton stood on its bridge. She was 56 years old with short gray hair and a face that showed little emotion. "Open a channel to all galactic vessels," she ordered. Her communications officer nodded. "Channel open, Admiral." Catherine's voice transmitted across all frequencies. "This is Admiral Catherine Sutton of the Earth Defense Force. Your unprovoked advance into our system is an act of war. 1/3 of your fleet has been disabled as a demonstration of our capabilities. This is humanity's first and only warning. Withdraw from our system immediately or be destroyed." On the Inevitable Dominance, Vexillor stared at the tactical display in shock. The disabled ships were his most powerful vessels. The human fleet was positioned perfectly to cut off their retreat. How had they known exactly where the combined fleet would emerge from hyperspace? "Admiral," his second-in-command said quietly, "we should consider withdrawal. We were not prepared for this level of resistance." Vexillor's skin darkened with anger. "The Zolaxian Directorate does not retreat. Prepare all remaining ships for battle. Target the largest human vessel first." As the two fleets moved toward each other, a new signal reached the combined fleet. It came from within their own ranks. 12 ships, those belonging to the species that had voted against attacking Earth, broke formation and moved aside. The battle for Earth was about to begin. While the fleets faced off in Earth's solar system, Dr. Alan Winters watched the clock on the wall of his underground lab. The time had come. He looked at Samantha Reed and nodded. "Activate the severing," he said. Samantha pressed her hand against a scanner. A series of lights turned from red to green on the main control panel. On a large screen, they watched as dots of light appeared across a map of Council space. Each dot represented a device planted by human agents over the past decade. "All devices online," Samantha said. "Activation in 3, 2, 1. She pressed the final button. The devices activated all at once. Across Council space, the effects were immediate. The quantum communication network that connected thousands of worlds suddenly collapsed. Messages stopped mid-transmission. Data feeds cut off. Military commands failed to reach their destinations. Banking systems froze. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the member species of the Galactic Council found themselves isolated from each other. On the Council homeworld, panic spread through the government centers. Council members rushed to emergency meeting rooms only to find that no one knew what was happening. Without their instant communication network, they were blind and deaf to events beyond their own planet. In the main council chamber, Security Director Mason Grant walked calmly through the chaos. For 7 years, he had served as a junior security officer, quiet and forgettable. No one knew he was actually a human operative, surgically altered to appear as a member of the Illidan species. Mason reached the central data core of the council. 2 guards stood at the door, looking nervous. "Communications are down across all sectors," Mason told them. "I need to check the backup systems." The guards nodded and let him pass. Inside, Mason connected a small device to the main computer. Within minutes, he had downloaded everything the Council had kept hidden about the missing human colonies. The files confirmed what Earth had suspected. The Zelaxian Directorate had been systematically abducting humans for biological research. They were trying to understand and replicate humanity's unique adaptive genetics and brain structure. The Council leadership had known about it, but had chosen to look the other way. The Zelaxians were too powerful to challenge. Mason copied the evidence and transmitted it using a special Earth communicator that didn't rely on the Council's network. Then he left the data core and headed toward the Council chambers. It was time for the second part of his mission. Back on Earth, in the Presidential Situation Room, President Laura Mitchell received Mason's transmission. She studied the evidence with her advisors. "This confirms everything," she said. "The Zelaxians have taken over 10,000 of our people for experiments, and the Council helped cover it up." Vice President Clark shook his head in disgust. "What kind of experiments?" Dr. Ellen Pidle reviewed the data. "Genetic sampling, neural mapping. The Zelaxians are trying to understand how humans adapt so quickly to new environments. Their species has been genetically stable for too long. They're not evolving anymore. They see our adaptability as the key to their future. And the Council just let this happen." Defense Secretary Harris asked. "The Zelaxians control most of the Council's defense forces," President Mitchell said. "Many species feared opposing them." She stood up and looked at the large screen showing the battle in space. "Send this evidence to Admiral Sutton, and prepare my ship. I'm going to the Council myself." At that moment, in the Sol system, the battle had begun. Admiral Vexillar's remaining ships fired on the Earth fleet. Their energy weapons flashed across space, but the Earth ships had shields unlike anything the Council had seen before. The attacks did little damage. Admiral Sutton watched calmly from the bridge of the Retribution. "Return fire," she ordered. "Target weapons and engines only. Avoid crew sections where possible." Her officers looked surprised. "Ma'am, we could destroy those ships completely." "We're not here to slaughter them," Sutton said firmly. "We're here for justice, not revenge. Show them the difference between their way and ours." The Earth fleet fired with precise accuracy. One by one, the attacking Council ships lost their weapons and engines, but their crew sections remained intact. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them all, but chose not to. The Galactic fleet broke apart in confusion. Without their quantum communication network, Ship captains could not coordinate their attacks. Some vessels continued fighting while others retreated. Several crashed into each other in the chaos. Admiral Vexillar watched his tactical display with growing anger. The battle was not going as planned. The human ships moved with perfect coordination despite the communication blackout. They disabled galactic vessels, one by one with careful, precise shots. "How are they still communicating?" he demanded. His tactical officer looked up from a scanner. "They're using old radio waves, Admiral. Simple signals that don't rely on quantum networks." Vexillar slammed his fist on the arm of his command chair. "Primitive technology. They knew our weakness all along." Another explosion rocked the ship. The weapons systems failed completely. His second-in-command turned from his station. "Admiral, we have lost weapons control. Our engines are failing. We should consider surrender." "The Zolaxian Directorate does not surrender," Vexillar said through clenched teeth. Just then, a new ship appeared near Earth. It was smaller than the warships, but clearly important. It carried the markings of Earth's government. Aboard this ship was President Laura Mitchell herself, heading toward the Council homeworld. 10 Earth warships broke from the main battle to escort her. As the battle continued in Earth's solar system, Ambassador John Mercer was released from his cell on the Council homeworld. The Council members had no choice. With their communication network down and reports of Earth's military success reaching them, they needed to negotiate. John walked into the Council chamber for the second time. Now President Mitchell stood beside him. She was 60 years old with short white hair and eyes that showed both strength and sadness. The remaining Council members watched nervously as she approached the speaking platform. "Members of the Galactic Council," she began, "we never wanted war. We wanted justice. We wanted answers about our missing people." She pressed a button, and the evidence Mason Grant had retrieved appeared on the main viewing screen. Images of human colonists in stasis pods, research notes about genetic experiments, secret orders from the Zolaxian Directorate. "Your dismissal of our concerns, your prejudice against our primitive species, has led us here," Mitchell continued. "The Zolaxian Directorate committed these atrocities, but every species in this chamber who voted to ignore our pleas is complicit." The Council chamber fell silent. No one could deny the evidence. Ambassador Krell of the Vesperians stepped forward. "My government suspected the Zolaxians were hiding something. That is why we voted against attacking Earth, but we did not know the full truth." President Mitchell nodded to him. "We recognize those who stood with us. You will find humanity values its friends as much as it punishes its enemies." In Earth's solar system, Admiral Sutton's forces continued showing unexpected mercy. They disabled rather than destroyed whenever possible. They even sent rescue ships to help crews escape from damaged vessels. One Zolaxian captain, watching humans rescue his injured crew members, could not understand. "Why do they help us? We came to destroy their world." His medical officer, who had studied human culture, replied quietly, "They call it humanity. It means compassion, even for enemies." On the Council homeworld, several representatives began to speak out against the Zolaxians. The Andromedi Elder Counselor Sarek, who had called for immediate attack on Earth, now changed his position. "We were missiled," he said. "The evidence is clear. The Zolaxian Directorate must answer for these crimes against sentient beings." President Mitchell looked at the worried faces around her. "Earth does not seek the destruction of the Council. We do not want to rule over others. We want only the return of our people and justice for what was done to them." For the first time, many Council members began to see humans differently. Not as primitive newcomers, but as a species with both great power and great restraint. "What are your terms?" asked the Council moderator. "First," Mitchell said firmly, "you will help us locate and rescue every human taken by the Zolaxians. Second, those responsible will face justice. Third, the Council will be reformed to ensure no species can hide such crimes again." The Council had no choice but to agree. The revelation of the Zolaxian experimentation program sent shockwaves through the galaxy. As news spread, many species withdrew their support from the Zolaxians. Some even pledged to stand with humanity against those who had taken their people. The war shifted from humanity versus the galaxy to a more complex conflict. With the Council's help, Earth located the hidden Zolaxian research facilities. There were 5 of them, hidden on remote planets far from normal trade routes. Each facility held thousands of humans in stasis pods. Captain Richard Hayes led the rescue mission to the largest facility. His team included both human soldiers and allies from other species. Richard was 45 years old, with a scar across his left cheek from an old battle. He had lost his brother in one of the missing colonies. "Move carefully," he told his team as they entered the main building. "Our people are fragile after months in stasis." The team moved through long white hallways. Through glass walls, they could see humans floating in clear tubes. Some had tubes connected to their bodies. Others had strange devices attached to their heads. "Life signs are stable in most pods," said the medical officer, Dr. Nancy Davis. "But we need to be careful with the awakening process. Too fast could cause brain damage." In a central control room, they found the research logs. The Zolaxian scientists had been studying how humans could adapt to new environments so quickly. They were especially interested in human brains, which could form new neural connections faster than any other known species. "The Zolaxians have reached evolutionary dead end," Dr. Davis explained as she read the files. "Their species hasn't changed in thousands of years. They can't adapt to new worlds or conditions. They saw humanity as the solution." Over the next week, rescue teams freed nearly 8,000 humans from the research facilities. The returned colonists told horrible stories about their capture and the experiments performed on them. Some had been awake during procedures. Others had been kept in dream states where their minds were tested with challenges and problems. One of the rescued colonists was Paul Bennett, a teacher from Colony Delta 7. He described how the Zolaxians had studied his brain while he solved increasingly complex puzzles. "They wanted to know why humans can think in ways they can't," Paul explained to President Mitchell during a debriefing. "They kept saying we see patterns they miss, make connections they can't follow." While the rescued colonists returned to Earth for recovery, Samantha Reed began working with scientists from allied species. Together, they developed a medical treatment to help the traumatized colonists heal faster. This project also became the foundation for a new approach to cooperation between species. "We can share medical knowledge without stealing or forcing," Samantha told a group of visiting scientists. "Consent and cooperation help everyone advance." Back on the Zolaxian homeworld, the news of their government's actions caused civil unrest. Many ordinary Zolaxians had not known what their leaders were doing. They were shocked and ashamed. Protests filled the streets of major cities. The Zolaxian ruling council retreated to a military base and refused to surrender. They gathered their remaining loyal forces and planned a desperate final attack. "If we cannot have human adaptability, then no one will," declared Supreme Director Zoxaran. "Prepare the long-range missiles. Target Earth directly." The remaining Zolaxian hardliners launched their attack without warning. Their advanced stealth ships broke through the defensive line around Earth using suicide tactics. For the first time, the battle reached Earth's skies. People in cities across Earth looked up to see explosions and energy beams cutting through the clouds. Defense systems activated and emergency alarms sounded. In New York, Chicago, Beijing, and London, civilians rushed to shelters. The war that had been fought in distant space had finally come home. Earth's defensive shields held against most attacks, but some missiles got through. As buildings burned and emergency teams rushed to help the wounded, one thought united people around the world. This would be the final battle. After this, the galaxy would never be the same. The attack on Earth lasted 36 hours. Zolaxian ships targeted major cities, but Earth's defense systems destroyed most of the missiles before they hit. Still, there was damage. Buildings fell in New York and Beijing. Fires burned in London and Moscow. Over 1,000 people died, and many more were hurt. Admiral Sutton led Earth's fleet in a desperate defense. Her ships formed a wall between Earth and the attacking Zolaxians. The Retribution took heavy damage, but stayed in the fight. "We cannot let them through," Sutton told her crew as the ship shook from another hit. "Earth is counting on us." Help came from an unexpected direction. Ships from 27 alien species arrived to fight alongside Earth's defenders. The Vesperians led this allied fleet, with Ambassador Krell sending a clear message to all. Humanity stood alone against injustice. They will stand alone no more. Together, the combined fleet trapped the Zolaxian attackers between them. With no escape route, the Zolaxian Supreme Director Zoxaren refused to surrender. His flagship drove straight toward Earth in a final suicide run. Admiral Sutton positioned the damaged Retribution in its path. "All power to forward shields," she ordered. The two ships collided in a blinding flash. The Zolaxian flagship exploded. The Retribution survived, though badly damaged. With their leader dead and their attack failed, the remaining Zolaxian ships surrendered. The war was over. In the weeks that followed, the Galactic Council underwent major changes. The old structure was dissolved, and a new organization called the Interstellar Cooperative formed in its place. This new body had different rules. All species had equal votes. No single group could block investigations. Transparency was required in all dealings. Ambassador John Mercer, now appointed as Earth's first High Representative to the Cooperative, stood in the new chamber built in Geneva on Earth. Representatives from 200 species filled the room, many visiting Earth for the first time. "Humanity didn't want war," John said to the assembly. "We wanted recognition. We wanted justice. Now we have the opportunity to build something better than what came before." The Zolaxian leadership faced trial for crimes against sentient beings. Evidence showed that only the highest levels of their government had approved the human experiments. Most ordinary Zolaxians had known nothing about it. A new government formed on their homeworld, led by reformers who promised to make amends. On Earth, the rebuilding began. Cities repaired damage from the attacks. Families welcomed back the colonists who had been rescued from the research facilities. Though these survivors carried deep mental and physical scars, they also carried a unique perspective. Paul Bennett, the teacher from Colony Delta 7, started a school where young humans and aliens could learn together. "Understanding begins with education," he told his first class, which included children from 12 different species. 6 months after the war ended, Captain Olivia Harrington visited the memorial on the rebuilt Colony Delta 7. A simple stone wall held the names of those who had not survived the Zolaxian experiments. Olivia placed her hand on the cool surface and thought of how much had changed. "We came to space hoping to find friends," she said quietly. "Instead, we found danger. And then we found strength we didn't know we had." Behind her, new buildings rose where the empty colony had once stood. Humans worked alongside aliens, rebuilding together. Children played in parks, some with scales, others with extra limbs, all laughing together. A Vesperian diplomat walked up beside Olivia. "Your species surprised us all," he said. "When you declared war, many thought you sought revenge. Instead, you sought justice, and then peace." Olivia smiled slightly. "That's the thing about humans. We can be warriors when we must, but we prefer to be builders." Above them, ships from dozens of worlds moved through the sky, bringing supplies and visitors to the colony. Earth was no longer alone in the galaxy. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through conquest, but through standing firm for justice. The war had begun with a shocking declaration in the Galactic Council. It had ended with a new understanding throughout the galaxy. Humans would fight fiercely when needed, but they would build even more enthusiastically when given the chance.